Okay, so in this video we're going to go over how to import the 7-segment display components into your Multisim file, and I'm going to briefly go over the 7-segment display worksheet that we're going to do in class. Alright, so first off on the worksheet, it wants us to use Multisim to enter this 7-segment display test window, and we're going to use that to switch these switches on and off for each one of these segments and figure out how to make each one of these numbers. Okay, so we're using a common cathode display. Remember, we're going to have 7 segments with a 7-segment display. Each one's going to be labeled a different letter. So what they've done here is they've made a 5-volt line, a ground line, and then they've used SPDT switches to either select power, send power, or ground to our inputs on our 7-segment display. And they've also got a resistor, a 220 ohm resistor, in line for each one. So the first part of the worksheet, you're going to have to basically recreate this on Multisim. So I'm going to go over how to recreate this. So go to Place Source, and just out of habit, I always go to All Groups, All Families. We're going to do VCC. Click OK, drop it in. And then we're also going to need this ground down here. So we'll just type in ground, place it in. Now we're going to need switches. We're going to need 7 of them, but for right now I'm just going to only place one. So SPDT and All Groups, All Families. We're just going to do the first one. Place it. Now we're going to have to do the same thing that we've done for all the other SPDT switches we've used in the past, and that's rotate them twice. So we'll rotate clockwise, rotate clockwise. I'm going to need 7 of these, so copy and paste 7 times. You can move these closer together and whatnot on your own. And then you can go through and rename them. But now I'm just going to wire up the first one so you guys know how to connect it. So I'm going to connect my power, connect the first 2. And I'll connect my ground so that my ground's on the bottom, power's on the top. I'm going to right click and change my color to black for ground, just for good measure and organization. And I'm also going to need a resistor and the 7-segment display. So the resistor, I'll go into All Groups, All Families, and I'll put in a resistor, and I can click on this and change the resistance. So we need a 220 ohm. I'm just going to put 220 in there, and then I'll click OK. That'll change it to 220, and then we can copy and paste that for all 7 of them that you make. Again, I'm just going to only do the A and B segment, and you'll just recreate the entire thing for the other segments. So I'll connect these, and then I'll go 7-segment display again. 7. Let me change it to all sources, or All Groups, All Families. 7-segment. Alright, so when you bring it up, it's going to choose a lot of different combinations. There's 7-segment COM A, that's going to be common anode. 7-segment COM K, that's going to be the common cathode unit. Remember in class we always use common cathodes just because they're simpler. And then there's all different kinds of color options. I don't care which one you choose, you can pick whichever one you like. And there's also ones down here that say 7-segment decimal. That means that there's a decimal point on there. For this one right here, we don't need a decimal, so we're just going to select a regular 7-segment COM K. And I'm going to go blue. Click OK, place it in. Okay. So the way that this works, it looks a little bit different than a traditional 7-segment display because this is a visualization of one. All of our segments are going to be down here, and our common pin is going to be up here. Remember, since it was common cathode, our common pin is going to be ground, so we can take this and connect it over and connect it to ground. Okay, and then these we would just connect each one to each segment. And again, when you do this, you're going to go through and take all these other switches and wire them up too, and they're going to go to C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Alright. So now if I were to start the simulation and I were to switch this switch from ground that it's on right now to 5 volts, it would turn segment A on. Okay? And then it would light up segment A. Well, if we look at what segment A is, segment A would be this top portion right here. So if I flip the switch and I start the simulation and I swip it to positive, it's going to turn that top segment on. I did the second segment B right here, switch it, it's going to turn the B on. And for all the other segments following, it would turn on the corresponding segment on the 7 segment display. So you'll go through, you'll build this, and then you'll figure out with this chart, what do I need to turn on to make a 1? Okay, well, to make a 1, we can pull back up our image of our diagram. To make a 1, we'd use B and C. So I would put a 1 here and a 1 here for B and C. Everything else is going to be off. So put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, so on and so forth all the way down. Okay, the next part of the worksheet is you'll have to make this circuit on Multisim. So you can delete this completely and recreate it, or you can delete just this part of it right here. But you'll need to make this segment right here. You guys should know how to make these. We've been making AOI circuits the entire class period. You'll need 3 NOT gates and 2 OR gates, it looks like. Okay, and you're just going to wire it up just like it is here. You'll pull in your resistors by just typing in resistor and make sure you change the resistor value to 220 ohm. And then you'll go through and say, flip your switches. So I've got switch J, switch K. If I have J and K both at 0, which means flip to ground, what am I displaying? And then you'll write that there. And then I'll switch K on, what am I displaying? Write that there, so on and so forth. And then what it's got the digital logic board here. We're going to omit that part. I just want you guys to multi-sim it. Okay? So multi-sim this part, and then fill out this chart right here. And that'll be it.